So the biggest thing, so last week there was a bill so far it's only been passed in the House, but it's being called the Big Beautiful Bill. And basically it's the renewing of the DJT, if y'all know what that's stands for, tax code, right? Because it was set to expire in 2025, and so now they're trying to pass it. And a lot of the stuff in this bill is talking about, basically it's basically a tax cut for the wealthy, and it does harm the middle class, or essentially it causes a ripple effect, and that will harm the middle class, right? So that's where we're at with this. So the biggest thing that has come from it, though, well, there's a couple big things, but the latest thing that keeps coming from it is like, oh my God, did you hear? I'm impersonating people that are talking about this. Did you hear that they're changing the dependent age of children from age 18 to 7? And then it goes left from there. So then it's like they're changing it from 18 to 7. And now what are they saying? Are they trying to make kids be child laborers? Are they thinking about putting kids in the workforce? Oh, they deported all these people. So yeah, they must be trying to replace them with child labor. Like they're going on that rant, or oh my God, like who, why are you saying that? Hold on. People are panicking like, oh, so are you saying that a 8-year-old can take care of themselves because after age 7, once they turn 8, they're no longer a dependent? Oh my God, what? Oh my God, this administration, what they're doing? No, 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 no. Now, first and foremost, I don't support the current administration, right? However, though, I am not going to continue to like just react to things out of ignorance, right? So when I do see some of these things, and it's crazy because like it might be a side that I might typically agree with, but if they're talking about something, I have to look into it because I know by and large that motherfuckers be illiterate, right? They don't have any understanding, or they don't read past the headline, right? Or even the first paragraph. They're not even getting the good information that you need. They're getting the sensationalized stuff that makes people react. Like that's what headlines are there for. They're there to make you react. Either you're gonna be shocked, you're gonna be happy, you're gonna be surprised, you're gonna be sad, you're gonna be angry, whatever. That's what the headline does, right? It's there to evoke emotion. So let's break this down though, and I'm gonna break this down. So this all this idea of them changing the dependent age from 18 to 7 has to do with what they're doing is they're proposing to make changes to the SNAP program. So if you don't know what SNAP is, it's basically food stamps, right? That's it. There's a longer name for SNAP that's used, and but it's synonymous and associated with welfare, right? So here's the breakdown though. So that's the only thing that's changing. So they are changing the dependent age from 18 to 7 in terms as it pertains to the SNAP benefit program. So here's a breakdown. So there's 5 points that I'm going to make here. 5 points that I'm going to make. And this should clear up some things, and then we could talk about it, right? So first, the proposed SNAP change. House Republicans propose a change to the SNAP work requirement exemptions, specifically for adults with dependents. All right. So to be on food stamps, to be in the SNAP program, there's a work requirement that you have to meet. Like they don't want you necessarily just sitting on your butt forever, which most of us can probably agree. Like that's probably not best for our country. Unless you are disabled, obviously, but like if you're an able-bodied person, it's probably not best for you to just be, you know, getting government assistance without doing anything for it, right? So this is still the same point. Under current SNAP rules, adults are exempt from work requirements if they have a dependent child under 18. So there are no work requirements. So yeah, because you can get SNAP if you are like are an adult. You can get food stamps if you're like a struggling adult and you don't have no kids. They'll give you some food stamps. But if they're giving you food stamps, you got to work. The stipulation is that if you have a kid, if you have a dependent, right, and they're under the age 18, so you got like grown kids even, you don't have to work. Like you're not required to work, right? So now they want to get people because what they want to do, they want to get people off of welfare, right? But also they're lowering the age. So it's like because 18, you got some grown people in your house. You know what I'm saying? If they under 18, a 17-year-old, 16-year-old, 15-year-old, right? You don't have the same struggles to work if you have an older kid. Like you don't have to worry about childcare the same way, right? So before there was no work requirement, now they're trying to make a work requirement. And it says the proposed change would lower the age of a dependent for this exemption to under 7. It says this means that parents with children age 7 or older will be required to meet SNAP work requirements in order to receive the benefits. Okay, so you could see that my source there is Newsweek, right? You could check that out. Number two, the second point we're gonna make, it's not a broad definition change, right? So this has nothing to do with what we know as a dependent, and this will not affect other parts of why when we use that term dependent, it doesn't affect those other things. It says this proposed change only affects the SNAP work requirement exemption, not the broader definition of dependent for tax purposes or other federal benefits. So this only has to do with welfare and food stamps. It says here, parents can still claim children up to age 18 and in some cases older as dependents on their tax return. So this does not mean that you cannot so you're not losing thousands of dollars like they originally said people were saying. It says children over 7 continue to qualify for programs like Medicaid, CHIP, and school lunch programs. Now, it's so children over 7. So yeah, so it doesn't affect health insurance. It doesn't affect school lunch um or Medicaid, right? So it doesn't necessarily take from them. So let's keep going. So this is the third thing, the third point. Implications of the SNAP proposal. If implemented, the SNAP change would significantly impact families with children over 7 who rely on SNAP for food benefits. So what this means is that like people are gonna have to be a little bit more mindful. Yeah, when you have a kid that's under 7, that means that they're not school age, right? They're not in kindergarten, they're not in first grade. So yes, it does make it harder for people to get steady employment when when they're concerned with childcare. Well, if your kid is in school and and probably you probably will qualify for like other type of assistance to get like maybe after school care and things like that. But it's only gonna affect like how much food stamps you get because they're saying like, yo, you can work. It says it could potentially force some parents to choose between working to maintain SNAP benefits and staying home to care for their children. That's kind of how people operate now. Says Democrats have opposed the proposal, arguing that it could harm single parents and families with young children. So actually, there's only 3 points that I wanted to make. But so it says here in summary, while there has been some discussion and proposal to change the age of dependence for SNAP work requirement exemptions, it's crucial to understand that this is not a change to the general definition of a dependent for tax and other federal benefit purposes. So again, a lot of people have been reporting things, not even reporting things, reacting to things, and not necessarily giving the facts and giving the full information. Because most of us feel, and I feel like if you're a working adult, most of us feel that there is a population, and this is not and this ain't about black people at all. But there's a population, and because we know who has the most welfare benefits in this country. But this is not an attack on. Yeah, this is not necessarily this is not an attack on people in poverty, whatever. But this is just a way for because there's a lot of people that feel that there's a population of people that take advantage of these kind of benefits. There's obviously other things that he's proposing to adjust Section 8, and but basically it's to get people back in the workforce. Now, obviously there are exceptions if you're disabled, if you're You know what I mean? Like there's other hardships. Maybe you have a kid that's disabled and you know that makes it hard. There's I'm sure there's gonna be certain exemptions and exceptions, you know, to those rules. But like it's for the people that have been on, you know, like you'll see videos and people are talking about, yeah, I've been on welfare for 20 years, 15 years, 14 years. That's not, it's not designed for you to be that way. So most of us, depend, no matter what race you are, would agree that like there are people that abuse those systems. And of if anything in that bill that I actually don't mind, it's this. It is this. It is gonna make some people make some tough decisions, but also again, man, when it comes to like you don't have to have kid. You don't have to have kids. Like I mean, if you cannot afford to have kid, I would not have a kid if you can't afford to have a kid. Like I would not put my kid into an environment where there's like food insecurity. Um, I've never as an adult, I've never you know, I probably had the capability of it, but I've never had food stamps. I've bought some food stamps from somebody before, but I've never had food stamps. And like people talk about like, oh man, this is gonna make people hungry. But bro, when you one, it teaches you money management and like you gonna make some things happen. If you got a little bit of money, you gonna find a way to eat as long as you got some money. um it's dope that people do have, you know, that leg up, you know, for a period of time, but it's not something that they should live on. And you know, I even like when they even proposing stuff to where like there's certain dietary restrictions on some of the stuff because you know these people, if they're getting free food, they should be getting healthy food. I mean, but I know that's gonna cause some controversy. I know people are gonna be mad about certain things, but we have to make it clear that yes, I know the language is what it is. They're saying dependent from 18 to 7, but it has nothing to do with our taxes. Could it go down that route? I think people would be upset if it did.